Alright, stop me if you've heard this one before. Video game consoles aren't just for video games anymore. This isn't news. In fact, it's been glaringly obvious since Netflix's rise to digital dominance, and console manufacturers have clued into this, and they've since spent the past 2 generations expanding their target from those who play games to everyone in the household. There's more revenue to be had that way, by targeting the interests of those spending their income directly. This means instead of focusing on gamers, they need to focus on everyone who looks at the television. Now, by providing an all-purpose console, a company can tap into all home demographics at once. It's an aggressive competition, and it's hard not to respect the aspirations of companies like Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo, but there are several complications that the Xbox, PlayStation, or Wii U have to face before they can claim the living room as their domain. Let's take a trip through the history of technology's role in the family room and see if we can find where game consoles can stake their claim. As living room technology evolved, the amount of media to be consumed expanded. This dawned with the introduction of the home video and the ability to watch recorded content. The arrival of the VCR did 2 things. Freed families from the chains of live broadcast and enabled the cataloging and curation of content. Families could now collect what they wanted to watch and watch it at their own leisure. In the beginning, this had little bearing on game consoles, as they provided an altogether different form of entertainment. This was due in part to graphical fidelity. Pixel graphics had a niche appeal, compared to live action or animated content, but that would soon change. Time goes by, and the VHS is superseded by the DVD. This is the games console's first in to the family room, beyond games and the odd audio CD. Now that home video and games are stored on the same media, people can now use their PlayStation 2 or their Xbox as their DVD player. Now, Nintendo's GameCube was limited to mini-discs itself, and was kind of shut out of this race, except for one thing. Panasonic and Nintendo paired up to make an awesome silver toaster known as the Panasonic Q. But then, not all content made it to DVD, and at the rate it was being produced, it was still slow that it made live TV desirable. Moving on to our current, soon-to-be former generation of gaming console, there's an interesting twist. Streaming content. In the early days of the Xbox 360 and the PS3, there wasn't a great focus on playing media on your console, but the functionality was there. You could store MP3s and videos to the hard drive, and you were also able to stream over your home network. Granted, streaming was a feature limited to those familiar with configuring their own home network. Now, home networks are more expansive, and with the prevalence of wireless routing, it's much easier to connect all these devices to the internet. This brings us to the collection of purely digital content. Families today have had a plethora of options on deciding how to watch a new digital release. Home on-demand services offer experience similar to basic rentals done through your TV service provider. Netflix, arguably one of the biggest powerhouses, offers thousands of movies and TV shows on pretty much anything that connects to the internet. Phone, TV, toaster, cybernetic implants. Now, there are plenty of similar services that I can go over: Amazon Video, HBO, Go, Hulu, but for the sake of brevity, let's just acknowledge that there's options. And with the coming generations of consoles, almost all of these options will be accounted for on any console with an internet connection. But despite all these wonderful places to access content, somehow live TV service persists. And there's plenty of live content that is difficult to access purely through the internet. 24 hours news networks, local news, sporting events, pay-per-view events. None of these is available, or at least readily available, strictly on the internet. TV networks are hesitant to provide their live content to the internet, and service providers are content to keep it that way. Now, this puts console manufacturers in a bit of a predicament. Since Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo lack the clout to move most live TV content to their consoles, they need to jerry-rig means to manipulate live TV through their own systems. Nintendo was one of the first to provide a sweeping means of managing this through their Nintendo TV service. Having used it myself, it's an interesting feature, but it amounts to nothing more than turning the Wii U tablet into a glorified TV guide / remote fusion. The Xbox One, however, is looking to do something rather intuitive, allowing you to patch your TV service through the console, allowing you to change channels through the console and swiftly switch between games and television. Both of these services are stymied by the reliance on the television subscription paradigm. when all is said and done, using a console as an all-in-one media hub gets to be quite expensive. You're paying for, at the very least, an HD TV, your console of choice, high-definition television package, and basic high-speed internet. Additional fees may include subscriptions to Xbox Live, Netflix, Hulu, HBO. We're paying a boatload of money to so many different things, can we really consider it all-in-one anymore? I could understand if a subscription like Xbox Live carried all these things with it, but while the current television service stands, we're still a long ways out from that. And maybe the question we should be asking ourselves is, in the age of the internet, when our content is accessible everywhere, are we really going to limit ourselves to just one device?